Hello everybody, Accureye here, and welcome back to another Accureye 101 talk about every character in Don't Starve, or tips about every character in Don't Starve. In today's video, we are going to be discussing the story, and I will be giving you the tips of why WX-78 is one of the last, at least in my opinion, easiest characters to play as, and is regarded as one of the best characters for new players from the get-go. But with that being said, let's talk and discuss the story of our good friend here, Mr. WX-78. Now, first of all, there is a theory going on that WX-78 was created by our good friend Mr. Wilson himself. But unfortunately, this theory does not really line up. If anyone who knows anything about Don't Starve, they would know that Wilson was not a successful scientist. He was not a successful scientist from the get-go. And until Mr. Maxwell stepped in via communicating through him with through the Voxella PR-76, which was made by the Voxella radio company in Sydney, Ohio. Maxwell or Wilson will have not been a very successful scientist going forward. So, with that being said, it kind of debunks the theory that Wilson had created WX-78. And given that WX-78 was created by Wilson, if it was possible, WX-78 most likely would have recognized Wilson as his creator. Because, well, WX-78, our origin story of WX-78 goes into the fact that WX-78 is, of course, an android. Even though his nickname is the Soulless Automation, there is no chance that he wouldn't be an android due to the fact that when he gets struck by lightning, you can see a skeleton within his body. This would mean that he isn't really a actual robot entirely. But like I said, with that being said, there is not much known about WX-78's origin. I have a theory, and I believe this compiles with theories of other people. But like I said, the theory about Wilson having created WX-78 is kind of debunked. In many ways, the WX-78 theory of Wilson having created WX-78, that's debunked. It's not true. Wilson will have recognized WX-78, and let's face it, WX-78 will have recognized Wilson. In many ways, though, WX-78 also would have been shown to the world if Wilson had created him in the first place. But who did create Wilson? Who was it that created Wilson? Well, as we explore the theory, and as we explore WX-78's abilities and whatnot, I will tell you. So, what is WX-78's abilities? What makes him regarded as probably one of the best characters for new players, for beginners, for people? Well, WX-78's abilities are as follows. WX-78 has a starting health of 100 to 150 and Don't Starve together, 150 hunger, and 150 sanity and Don't Starve together. In, of course, Don't Starve, he has 100 health all around. But his special abilities is the fact that he is not a picky eater. By the fact that he's not a picky eater, this means that he can, of course, in general, eat food even when it is stale. And this makes him, by far, one of the more viable characters in the game for new beginners, or for people who are struggling with survival. Each gear that he unlocks can allow him to basically upgrade his health. By the time he reaches his maximum gears and health or his maximum the maximum amount of gears that he can eat, he will respectively gain 400 health, 200 hunger, and over 300 sanity. In general, this means that he is quite the viable character overall. He is quite the viable character overall, and in turn can really be great for people who are struggling to survive. But with that being said, he does have a downside. What is his downside, you may be asking me? Well, don't worry, Accureye will cover it for you. His biggest downside is, of course, the fact that he can't go into the rain without proper rain gear. Without the proper rain gear, unfortunately, he can't go into the rain, which means that if rain strikes, you better make sure you have a raincoat, a rain hat, a umbrella, something to keep him from being wet. Being wet is by far one of the worst things for him. In general, it's one of the biggest things that just in general make him a absolute terrible choice for spring. And in spring, I mean, you gotta be prepared and ready for a attack or whatever. So yeah. With that being said, though, I mean, he is by far one of the best characters, and you'll see here how going back into this origin. This is where the origin for me does allow me to speculate things. So with that being said, I mean, let's go into his the big factor of his origin. As you can see, when he does get into fire, or he has fire, you'll see how when you inspect it, it says it reminds him of something. Now, it says warning fire levels is sufficient, but when you have the right fire level, as you can see here, it says it reminds him of something. What does this remind him of? What does this mean? Well, don't worry, I'm going to have you covered for this. So, according to what I believe, and this goes into the theory of many of other people, this relates, WX-78 kind of relates to to certain characters, Winolia and Maxwell himself. Winolia obviously might have been a potential colleague of WX-78's, but you're probably thinking, Accureye, what the heck do you mean by Winolia was a colleague of WX-78? Well, let's go into deeper detail of this. WX-78 is potentially Mr. Wagstaff. Wagstaff was the creator of the Veloxa PR-76, which was Veloxa Radio's company. As you all know, or maybe you don't know, the Veloxa radio company burned down. It burned down. The factory was destroyed and burned down in a fire. And the founder, Robert Wagstaff, went missing and denied the fire. But how in the world did Robert Wagstaff go missing? How is it that Robert Wagstaff was, how does this fit in? Well, obviously, let me tell you. Robert Wagstaff, I believe, is the W in WX-78. If you think about it, look at it this way. The W in WX-78 must or might stand for Wagstaff. The fire, when you create a fire and WX-78 examines it, obviously it says it reminds him of something. What could it remind him of? Well, if it does remind him of anything, according to Robert Wagstaff, when he goes missing, he went missing in the night of the fire. When the fire started, Maxwell must have pulled him, a burnt Robert Wagstaff, into the Don't Starve world. From there, I would assume that Maxwell himself actually made WX-78 using parts from the Veloxa radio company and maybe some parts from the Veloxa radio and some of his own parts from the Clockwork Knights. I believe Maxwell turns Robert Wagstaff, a injured, maybe critically injured Robert Wagstaff, into WX-78, aka Wagstaff X-78. The X, I'm not sure what it means, but I suppose that may be his model number. His model number based on the radios that he created. And that's my theory of the origin of WX-78 and exactly what it means. But what about his special abilities? One of his other special abilities is the fact that he can get struck by lightning and system overload can stack. This means that WX-78 can actually move faster for at least a day, sometimes even 2, depending on how long it is. Obviously, I didn't ever kept track of it, but that is the story of WX-78. And a little bit of the theory of what I think, or who I think Wagstaff, or should I say WX-78's origin. I believe WX-78's origin is Maxwell's creation. After he created the of course Clockwork Knights, I'm sure he pulled Robert Wagstaff, a critically injured Robert Wagstaff, into the Don't Starve world, thus saving his life. But because he couldn't heal properly, Robert Wagstaff became WX-78 and was thrown into the Don't Starve world after Maxwell had created him. But that's my theory and my story of WX-78. Hopefully this has helped you understand our good friend Mr. WX-78 and it helped you decide if you want to place him. But with that being said, thank you everyone for joining me on this video. If you like this video, you know what to do. Hit that like button, get subscribed, hit that bell notification because I know you want to know when my next video drops next. Thank you everyone for joining me. I am live on Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday at www.twitch.tv/Accureye. But thank you everyone for joining me. And I am going to be trying to do a 6-day-a-week schedule soon, which will be Monday, Tuesday, 2 to 3 hour streams, and Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday being 4 to 6 hour streams, and potentially Sunday being a bonus stream. But with that being said, thank you everyone for joining me on this video, and until the next one, this is Accureye signing out and saying farewell, everyone.